Every individual stands at a crossroads every day, faced with a simple yet profound choice to play it safe or to step into the unknown. This choice, though often overlooked, defines much of who we are and what we become. We live in a world that often values comfort, stability, and the assurance of a safe path. It's easy to be drawn toward what's familiar because it feels secure and predictable. But the reality is that the more we cling to comfort, the more we risk missing out on opportunities that could shape our future in ways we can't even imagine. In moments of decision, we usually find ourselves weighing the risks versus the rewards. Our minds are quick to calculate the danger, the uncertainty, and the potential for failure. Fear of the unknown is a powerful force, and it's easy to let that fear dictate our actions. We might talk ourselves out of pursuing a new career, starting a business, or even speaking our truth because we fear the discomfort that comes with the unknown. The irony, however, is that by avoiding the risk, we are choosing to stay stuck in a place where growth is impossible. When we choose to remain in a safe, predictable environment, we miss out on the experiences that teach us the most about ourselves. Playing it safe might seem like the logical choice at first, especially when the stakes are high. However, staying within your comfort zone often leads to a life of complacency. The more you avoid risks, the more you close off possibilities. You become a spectator in your own life, watching others take the leap and achieve things you might have only dreamed of. It's easy to say, that's not for me, or I'm not ready for that. But in reality, the only way to be ready is to take that first step, no matter how small it might seem. On the other hand, choosing to step into the unknown and take a risk opens up a world of possibilities. There's a certain kind of magic that happens when you make the conscious decision to push beyond your comfort zone. It's not about having a foolproof plan or being guaranteed success. Instead, it's about trusting yourself enough to step into something that challenges you, that pushes you to grow, and that forces you to evolve. It's in those moments when we are faced with uncertainty that we often discover what we're truly capable of. The decision to take risks isn't always a big, dramatic moment. Sometimes it's about the small choices you make daily, like speaking up in a meeting, trying something new, or deciding to move forward even when the future is unclear. These moments of vulnerability and uncertainty are where real growth happens. They stretch you, shape you, and prepare you for challenges that will come your way. Without those risks, you remain stagnant, and the opportunities that could have transformed your life pass you by. One of the greatest gifts of stepping into the unknown is that it forces you to face your fears. It challenges the story you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. Most of the time, the fears we hold are based on imagined outcomes. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fall flat on my face? But what we don't realize is that failure isn't the end. It's a lesson, a stepping stone, and an opportunity to adjust your course. The true failure comes when you don't risk anything at all. By avoiding the fear, you ensure that your potential remains locked away, untouched. By taking risks, you also learn to embrace uncertainty. Life doesn't come with a blueprint, and there's no way to predict every outcome. But it's through the uncertainty that we discover the resilience, creativity, and resourcefulness that we never knew we had. It's in those moments of discomfort that we build the character needed to face the bigger challenges that life will throw our way. When you choose to take risks, you step into your own power. You take control of your narrative and stop letting fear dictate your story. Every risk you take, no matter the outcome, brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. And as you look back, you realize that the true growth didn't come from playing it safe. It came from having the courage to risk everything for the chance to be something more. Taking risks is often misunderstood. It's seen as something reckless, something people do when they have nothing to lose. But that's not what real risk is. Real risk is about stepping into uncertainty with intention. It's about making the decision to grow even when there's no guarantee of success. Risk is not just about external moves like starting a business, changing careers, or moving across the country. It's also internal. It's choosing to be vulnerable, to speak your truth, to go against the grain when everything around you tells you to stay quiet, stay small, stay safe. Risk is the doorway to growth. Without it, we stay stuck in the same patterns, living the same year over and over again, calling it a life. There's a reason why people feel stuck, unfulfilled, or restless. It's because something inside them is calling for more, but they're ignoring that call because answering it would mean leaving what they know. It would mean facing rejection, failure, or judgment. But staying where you are, just because it's familiar, doesn't protect you. It only delays the discomfort and trades it for regret. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. Growth demands a stretch, and that stretch always involves risk. It demands that you let go of the illusion of control and trust that you have the strength to figure it out on the way. When you take a risk, you start to uncover layers of yourself that were hidden under fear and routine. You start to learn not just what you're capable of, but who you really are when things don't go as planned. That's where character is built. That's where confidence is born. Not in the wins, but in the times you showed up even when the outcome was unclear. You can read all the books, listen to all the podcasts, get all the advice, but nothing will teach you more about yourself than taking a real risk and standing in the tension of not knowing what's next. That's the kind of learning that stays with you. That changes how you walk into every room, how you carry yourself, how you respond to challenges. People who grow, really grow, are people who are willing to look fear in the face and keep moving. They understand that fear is part of the process, not a sign to stop. They see fear not as a wall, but as a signal that they're on the edge of something meaningful. It's not about being fearless. It's about doing it anyway. It's about understanding that courage is built through action, and the more risks you take, the more courage you gain. Each step into the unknown strengthens you for the next one, and eventually, what once terrified you becomes the new normal, and you begin seeking out bigger challenges, not avoiding them. Taking risks also teaches you to trust yourself. You stop waiting for perfect timing or external validation, and you start recognizing your own voice. You start moving with confidence because you've learned through experience that you can handle more than you thought. You've been through setbacks, you've made tough calls, you've failed and recovered, and that's a kind of strength no one can take from you. It's earned, not given. What's powerful about risk is that it doesn't just change what you do, it changes how you think. It shifts your mindset from fear to possibility. It reprograms your brain to see uncertainty as a chance, not a threat. You stop asking, what if it goes wrong? And start asking, what if it goes right? That simple shift can change everything. Because once you believe that growth comes through risk, you stop hiding from hard things. You stop shrinking yourself. You start showing up fully, boldly, and ready to evolve. And that's where the real transformation begins. The greatest danger in life is not failure. It's fading into mediocrity by avoiding risk. People often associate failure with trying and not succeeding, but there is a silent and more damaging outcome that comes from never trying at all. Fading away happens gradually. It's quiet. It doesn't come with loud alarms or public losses. It comes when we stop pushing, stop growing, and start settling. We stop dreaming big because we fear falling short. We start making decisions based on safety instead of purpose. Slowly, without even realizing it, we become spectators of our own potential. When someone decides to avoid risk, they begin to make choices based on fear instead of conviction. They take jobs they don't love because they're stable. They stay in places and relationships that no longer serve them because it's comfortable. They stop raising their hand, stop speaking their mind, stop taking initiative. Not because they're incapable, but because they've convinced themselves that staying small is the safer route. Over time, that mindset hardens. They begin to accept mediocrity as a lifestyle, not realizing that they are making an active choice to fade into the background. Fading away is not always physical or visible. It's emotional. It's internal. It's the slow erosion of drive, of hunger, of passion. It's the moment you stop setting bold goals because you're afraid of falling short. It's when you start shrinking your ambition to fit the expectations of others. You might still be moving through life, checking boxes, appearing successful from the outside, but inside something is missing. That fire that once lit you up begins to dim, and before you know it, you're living a life that's safe but uninspired. Taking risk is what separates people who live fully from those who simply exist. It's not about chasing extremes or being reckless. It's about refusing to let fear decide the limits of your life. Risk demands that you believe in something more than your fear, more than your current reality, more than your excuses. It challenges you to bet on yourself when the outcome isn't guaranteed. And that's where courage is born. Not when everything is certain, but when you move forward anyway. It's easy to blend in, it's easy to follow the crowd, do what's expected, and avoid anything that might shake things up. But ease comes at a cost. The cost is your potential. The cost is your purpose. You were not meant to merely drift through life hoping things work out. You were built to contribute, to grow, to lead. And all of that starts with risk. Without it, you stay the same. With it, you evolve into who you were truly meant to be. There's a deep discomfort that comes from knowing you're capable of more, but choosing not to act on it. That discomfort doesn't go away. It lingers. It shows up in restlessness, in frustration, in a quiet sense of dissatisfaction. And the longer you ignore it, the heavier it becomes. That's the weight of fading, the knowledge that you could have done more, been more, reached more, but you chose safety instead. True fulfillment is found not in perfection or predictability, but in the pursuit of something meaningful. And meaning is always tied to risk. Every significant breakthrough in life is preceded by a decision to step into the unknown. You don't stumble into greatness by staying hidden. You don't grow by avoiding failure. You grow by showing up fully, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you don't know what's next. Because that's where the difference is made in the decision to rise rather than fade. Adversity is something most people try to avoid. It's uncomfortable, unpredictable, and often painful. But the truth is, adversity is one of the greatest opportunities for growth. It doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to develop you. Too many people view hardship as a signal to stop, as a sign that they're not on the right path. But the reality is, adversity shows up when you're in the process of becoming something more. It's the pressure that shapes the diamond, the resistance that builds the muscle. Without it, you never discover what's truly inside of you. When challenges come, whether it's a setback, a failure, an injury, or a major loss, you have a choice. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. Some people let adversity break them. They let it convince them that they're not enough, that they're not capable, that the dream isn't worth it. But others choose to look adversity in the face and say, I'm not backing down. They lean into the struggle. They dig deeper. And in doing so, they grow stronger, not just in skill, but in character. Because adversity doesn't just test your abilities. It reveals who you are. There's a moment in every difficult journey where quitting feels easier than continuing. That's the breaking point. That's when it would be simple to say, this is too much, and walk away. But for those who understand the value of adversity, that moment is sacred. That's the moment where resilience is built. That's the moment where you find out what you're really made of. The breakthrough is often just on the other side of that breaking point. But you only reach it if you're willing to keep going when everything in you says to stop. When adversity hits, it's easy to feel like it's unfair. To feel like you've been singled out, like no one else has to go through what you're going through. But adversity is universal. Everyone faces it in some form. The difference is not whether adversity shows up. It will. The difference is how you respond. Some people avoid it at all costs. Others embrace it as part of the process. Those who grow the most are the ones who choose to see adversity not as punishment, but as preparation. They understand that the pressure they feel is shaping them for what's coming next. Adversity builds perspective. It strips away the things that don't matter and forces you to focus on what does. It teaches you patience, humility, and discipline. It gives you a deeper appreciation for the victories because you felt the weight of the struggle. It also helps you relate to others in a real way. When you've been through something difficult, you gain empathy. You start to see people differently. You lead differently. You connect from a place of truth, not just position. And that kind of leadership, that kind of influence is powerful. You don't have to love adversity to benefit from it, but you do have to respect it, because within every hardship is a lesson. Within every setback is a seed of strength, but those lessons are only available if you're willing to stay in the fire long enough to receive them. Most people run from pain, but pain, when handled right, can be a powerful teacher. It can sharpen your vision. It can solidify your purpose. It can fuel your passion in ways comfort never could. There will be seasons when things don't go as planned, when you're knocked off course, when nothing makes sense. Those seasons are hard, but they aren't wasted. If you keep showing up, if you keep pushing forward with intention, you come out of those seasons with something more valuable than success. You come out with wisdom. You come out with strength. You come out with experience that can't be taught, only earned through the journey. There's something powerful that happens when a person commits to showing up every single day, regardless of how they feel. Consistency is not glamorous. It doesn't always come with applause or recognition, but it's in that quiet daily decision to be present, to work, to give your best even when no one is watching. That's where greatness is built. The world often celebrates results, but what they miss is the process behind those results. The early mornings, the late nights, the setbacks, the disappointments, the times when quitting seemed easier than continuing. But the person chose to keep going. That's what separates those who just talk about it from those who live it. There will always be people more talented. There will always be people with better circumstances or more resources. But consistency closes the gap. It's the equalizer. Talent may open the door, but consistency keeps you in the room. When you show up, even when the motivation isn't there, even when the excitement has faded, you're telling the world and yourself that you're serious. You're telling fear that it doesn't own you. You're telling doubt that it has no voice. That kind of discipline can't be faked. It's earned. People underestimate what they can accomplish with small, steady actions over time. They want fast results, instant success, immediate validation. But the truth is, anything that's built to last is built slowly. Consistency is about the compound effect, small actions repeated daily that build momentum, character, and strength. A person who commits to being consistent will always outlast someone who only acts when things feel good. Feelings are fleeting. Discipline is a decision. And it's in those mundane, ordinary moments when no one is clapping and nothing seems to be changing that the real foundation is laid. Consistency is not about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about being honest enough to say, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm not going to quit. It's about showing up when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when things aren't going your way, and still doing the work. That mindset builds resilience. It trains your mind to push through adversity, because the person who keeps showing up eventually finds their rhythm. They eventually start to see progress. And even when the results aren't instant, they know they're building something real, something meaningful. Every time you choose consistency over comfort, you're training your identity. You're telling yourself who you are, someone who follows through, someone who honors their commitments, someone who doesn't wait for perfect conditions to take action. That identity becomes your anchor when things get hard. It becomes your fuel when motivation runs dry. And it becomes your edge in a world where most people stop at the first sign of difficulty. What many don't realize is that consistency creates credibility. It builds trust, not just with others, but within yourself. You start to believe in your ability to endure. You build confidence not from hype, but from history, your own track record of showing up. That kind of confidence isn't shaken by setbacks. It's rooted in experience. You've been through storms before. You've stayed the course before. And that gives you the strength to keep going when others fold. There's nothing flashy about consistency, but its impact is undeniable. The work you do in silence, the grind you commit to in private, it all adds up. Every rep, every hour, every sacrifice, it's all building something. And over time, it creates results that no shortcut ever could. You become a person who doesn't just chase moments, but builds momentum. A person who doesn't just show up for the highlight reel, but is faithful in the process. Because in the end, it's the process that makes the moment matter. Most people think success is about outcomes, the title, the achievement, the applause. But what really sets people apart is purpose. Purpose is what anchors you when everything else around you is uncertain. It's what gives you direction when distractions try to pull you off course. When you have a clear sense of why you're doing what you're doing, you stop needing constant motivation because your actions are connected to something deeper than feelings. Feelings change. Purpose endures. It becomes the internal compass that helps you move with intention, even when you're tired, even when the results aren't immediate, even when the path ahead feels unclear. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's something you discover through commitment, reflection, and struggle. It shows up when you're willing to pay attention to what stirs your heart, to what burdens you in a way you can't ignore, to what gives your life meaning beyond personal gain. Too many people live without direction, drifting from one goal to the next, hoping that external success will fill the internal void. But success without purpose feels empty. It doesn't sustain you. It doesn't drive you through the hard days. It fades the moment circumstances shift. Purpose, on the other hand, gives you resilience. It fuels your fight. It turns obstacles into opportunities because you know what you're fighting for. When you're anchored in purpose, you stop comparing your path to someone else's. You stop chasing things that don't belong to you. You don't need approval from everyone because your validation comes from within. You're not looking for shortcuts because you understand that your journey isn't about speed. It's about depth. You start to lead from a different place, a deeper place. And that kind of leadership can't be manufactured. It's authentic. It's felt. People may not always agree with you, but they'll respect your consistency. They'll feel your conviction. Because there's a weight behind every word and every action that only purpose can produce. Purpose gives pain a place. When you're going through difficulty, it's easy to feel like it's meaningless. But when you know your why, you can see how even the hard things are shaping you, preparing you, growing you. You're not just suffering. You're being sharpened. You're not just going through something, you're growing through something. That shift in mindset doesn't take away the pain, but it gives it perspective. And that perspective helps you persevere. The truth is, life will always have highs and lows. Circumstances will change. People will come and go. But when your purpose is clear, you're not shaken by every storm. You don't have to rebuild your foundation every time something falls apart because your foundation is not built on circumstances. It's built on calling. It's built on clarity. You know what you're here for. You know what matters most. And that kind of clarity gives you peace. It helps you say no to distractions. It helps you stay focused on what truly matters, even when other people don't understand your choices. You can have talent, resources, and opportunity, but without purpose, you'll drift. You'll burn out. You'll start things and never finish them. You'll chase applause and still feel empty. But with purpose, even the smallest step forward carries weight. Even the quiet seasons have meaning. Because you're not just working for success, you're working from conviction. You're not waiting for the world to hand you direction. You've already decided who you are and what you stand for. And that kind of resolve, that kind of clarity, is what keeps you moving forward when the road gets tough.